sure I do that and put it on vibrate. Okay. I'm trying to turn off my phone, okay, so it doesn't ring while we're on. Anyway, I got it on vibrate, okay? Ugh. Anyway, welcome to another edition of the HBCU Sports Podcast, or HBCU Sports Live. It's your boy, Kenn Rashad. I'm joined by Chris Stevens. Jared Hoffman said, screw y'all. Man, I got leftovers. I'm still trying to finish. So anyway, just play. Shout out to Jared Hoffman. Mm-hmm. But anyway, welcome to a special edition of HBCU Sports Live. Remember last week, I told you we might come on. I didn't necessarily want to commit because I didn't know how I was going to be feeling after the fact. But you know what, man? We got a job to do. So, being the committed people that we are, or at least trying to be, I said, Chris said, Kenn, we doing a show today?
I sure did.
And I said, damn it. Yes, we're doing a show today. So we are doing a show right now. So look, before we get into it, there are some house rules. Let's get ahead and get this stuff all out of the way. Just in case you guys know, and I'm not going to put out any special graphics, but just to kind of like remind you all, Chris has like a couple of podcasts. He's got like 3 actually. And he's got a book coming out. Yes. Chris, let us know about your endeavor, sir.
All right. So, well, first the book, because this is something that I'm proud of, because if you guys are not familiar, I have written 12 fictional works that I've self-published on Amazon. And this time around, I am writing a Christmas romance novel, and it's Black Hallmark. This is a book about a widowed single father who runs a bookstore. This lady who used to live in town, she's coming back. She hates living in town or whatever, but her parents made her come back to visit. They meet at the bookstore and sparks fly. I will have the official title, publication date, and all of that stuff for y'all on Monday. If you want to, check in with me on Monday, you can go to my YouTube page, my official YouTube page, which is, I'm going to put that in the chat right here and now. So you guys can follow me over there, and I will make that announcement on Monday. Also, my music podcast, as Kenn loves to, this podcast will not exist without Kenn Rashad, to be quite honest with you.
It's good. It's really good.
He told me, man, you know too much about music to just let that knowledge lie dormant. So I started this wonderful thing called On the Groove Line. And this week, I had the honor and privilege of being joined by Confunction co-founder and lead guitarist Michael Cooper. We shot the breeze for a good 30 minutes. The man was in his car. He was taking lunch to his grandson. He said, nah, man, I'm here to see what you're talking about. And I'm like, I'm here to see what you're talking about. So I had a good time talking with Coop about all things Confunction. And yes, he told the entire Love's Train and backstory, which I think you people will find pretty doggone hilarious.
I did.
And you can go to that particular YouTube page, which I put in the chat, to check it out. And my other podcast is an after hours dating podcast. Now, if you're interested in the struggles of a single sports writer trying to figure out what the heck he is going to do for companionship during the winter months or year round, actually, I have a podcast called The Overnight Scenario. But for that, you will have to sign up for my Patreon. It's only $1 a month. You can get that podcast and other wonderful assorted writing things that I'm working on over on my Patreon. And there's the link to that. Actually, we need to put those links up on the screen. That's my mistake. So, all right. So here is my official YouTube channel, which I will be announcing the title and release date of my new novel, my music podcast, On the Groove Line, and the Overnight Scenario, which can be found on my Patreon. So there you go. And that covers all the, that covers
okay. And you know what? Hold up, man. This is live. I'm trying to do something here real quick here. Let me see. Can we get this right? Bear with me one moment. And all right, we're good. Okay. So I got a book. It's called HBCU Sports 101. A Guide to Understanding Black College Athletics. I am here to tell you, I'm not just saying this because it's my book. I'm telling you, it's a really good book. And it would be the perfect stocking stuffer for the holidays.
Yes.
I'm telling you. So if you are an HBCU fan, or if you are just into history, this is some good stuff, man. It's not a hard read, but I guarantee you will find it to be a very interesting read. There are some things that many of you so-called HBCU experts probably pride yourself on knowing, but I'm telling you, man, there is some stuff in here that you read, you be like, I did not know that. And for someone like me, even in doing the research, I was like, wait a minute, I did not know that. So anyway, get your copy of HBCU Sports 101, A Guide to Understanding Black College Athletics. It is, if you go to KennRashad.com and purchase your book there, you will get the copy at the same price that you can get it on Barnes and Noble and on Amazon and everywhere else where books are sold. The difference is I will sign it and send it to you personally for the same price. Okay. So go ahead, get that book and you will enjoy it. And then secondly, I also have a couple of other podcast projects at the Kenn Rashad channel, which features 2 podcasts, the Kenn Rashad Show, where we talk about entrepreneurship and we feature up and coming, well, not just up and coming, but Black entrepreneurs who are doing tremendous things in the communities in which they serve. And something that I've prided about, look, man, and a special project called HBCU Titans, where we profile and tell the stories of individuals who graduated from HBCUs. This is like people who graduated from HBCUs who are successful entrepreneurs, C-level executives, and so forth. Okay. We did one. The first episode was with Tracy Ellis, who is an attorney who specializes in estate planning. And man, I'm telling you, it was an eye-opening interview. He even provided some feedback on how Aretha Franklin kind of messed things up, and even how Prince messed things up after they did. You know, Prince didn't have a will. And you know, she talked about the price that the estate paid because of him not having it. So anyway, those are the projects out there. Let's go on with the show, and we'll start. Oops, not with that. We'll get to that. But we're going to start with Benedict and Albany State facing off on tomorrow in the second round of the NCAA Division II playoffs. Now, this tournament started off, I believe, with 5 teams, which was kind of like a historic first. And needless to say, if you do the simple math, 3 of those teams lost. But in the case of, well, Benedict, I think both of these games were actually pretty interesting. But in the case of Benedict, what was that they played, Chris, the first round?
Wingate.
If you saw the ending, and I knew when I saw it, I immediately knew that this was going to be featured on ESPN, and they did feature it on ESPN. It was the NCAA, it's like the NCAA final or whatever the case may be, and it literally was the so-called first game that they profiled, and just how crazy it was. Literally the last play of the game. And as one guy calls it, you know, you get the pass and you're throwing behind. And I heard one guy, he called it, I forgot the term. It was the pitchy woo woo.
Yeah. Yeah, it was dude on Swag TV. I can't remember his name right now, but yeah.
Woo. And when I tell you, you went woo at the end, it worked. So Chris, you saw this, and you kind of had an interesting comment while we were on our pre-show meeting about how Wingate should feel and how the coaches probably should be fired at this point. I'll let you take it from here.
Everybody on the defensive staff got to go. I'm sorry. Because if you are up, and it wasn't just the fact that this play went for a touchdown. It's the fact that it was a 90-yard play. You got the opponent pinned on their 10-yard line with a handful of seconds left. There's no way if you give up like a 40-yard pass play, and then they only have one time for a Hail Mary, at least you still got time to get everybody back in position and knock the ball down. But no, there was literally a few seconds left on the clock. You get one pass off, and then the kid apparently who called the pass used to play quarterback when he was in high school, and he threw an absolute dart across the field.
Man.
Absolutely. I mean, and people forget the length of a football field.
Right.
It ain't no joke.
and you would have to throw. But the thing is, you would have to throw in order for that to work. The pass and how he threw it, that dart that you talked about, that's the way it should have been done. Because had that ball had any more air on it, it probably wouldn't worked out because it would have given the defenders the time to get to it. But he threw it. It was a perfect pass. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It was an absolute diamond. I mean, to throw that, it was like going across his body and still just was able to find the target. And number one, it was behind. It was a pass behind, so it was a lateral. And the young man took it up the sideline, and nobody got to him until the 10-yard line. And I think his adrenaline and his desire kicked in. He said, you might get your hands on me, but you're not going to bring me down. So he ended up shaking off the Wingate defender, goes into the end zone. So long, Wingate. Every member of that Wingate defensive staff should be fired. I'm sorry. Like that is just egregious, egregious coaching at the end of that game. But for us in HBCU space, it worked out because we get Benedict and Albany State round 3. This will be the 3rd time they played this year.
Round 3 or round 2? You're talking about the matchup between them.
Yeah, this is the second round of playoffs, but it's round 3.
Right. Okay.
Because Albany won 31-3 in the regular season.
Right.
They won 30-16 in the SIAC title game. And so this is the second time Benedict has had to go to Albany in the space of 3 weeks.
The only disappointing part about this is that, and I understand these things work out, especially with the regions and so forth. The only unfortunate thing is that they have to face each other.
Yeah.
As opposed to maybe playing somebody else with the possibility of someone. However, the good news is somebody's going to make it to the next round.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are your thoughts, or how do you see this game turning out, Chris?
It's hard for Lightning to strike twice, but Albany's done it. Can they do it a 3rd time? I would have to say yes. I mean, this Albany team has been good all year long. They've only lost one. They lost one game all year, and that was to Florida A&M. We'll have some more thoughts on that later on.
Right.
And as great as Benedict is playing, they still have trouble scoring the ball. Like, you needed that kind of play to win a ball game. Albany State doesn't need that type of magic to win a football game. They have a great quarterback in Isaiah Knowles. They have a Tion Weiss in the backfield, really good running back. So I got Albany winning this one again. I got them in the regional final. And the further Albany State goes in this playoffs, the more a certain leadership group in Tallahassee, Florida has a decision to make.
You will not let that go, will you?
No, I will not.
So Chris, it's almost as if you're saying that something is just bound to happen.
I don't have any more information than the man in the moon, as my grandmother used to say, but reason just stands to believe that if your fan base is unhappy with one coach and you've got an alum doing great things at another HBCU, chances are you might want to kick the tires on that.
And to think, and at some point we are going to get into we are going to talk about the Holiday Classic that's coming up. We got the Bayou Classic this weekend, and we got the Holiday Classic. And if you guys are wondering what the Holiday Classic is, the Holiday Classic features Halloween and Christmas. Halloween being FAMU and Christmas being Valley, and they are playing on Thanksgiving weekend. Okay, that's we call it the Halloween class. I mean, we call it the Holiday Classic. And as Chris alluded to earlier, or if you want to put it another way, it's peas and carrots versus who, Chris?
Peas and carrots versus watermelon.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
We having fun today.
Yes. All right. So there was one interesting comment that we felt the need to discuss. And this was a comment that was made on Monday by Texas Southern head coach Chris Dishman. And during that conversation, he talked about the season, and he talked about, I guess he was responding to a question of how some of his players are possibly being approached by, I guess, so-called, in his words, street agents about possibly playing for other programs with, NIL being what it is and so forth. And if I understood Dishman's point, I think he was referring to the fact that maybe a lot of these players are players who are unproven. Either they are either unproven, aren't necessarily worth the are necessarily worth proving themselves, or just basically unproven. But the point is that the comments that he made, I think, were very telling, Chris Stevens.
Yes.
And I just think that they weren't necessarily unfounded. And given where we are right now in this era, this new era of college football, it is not, this is no longer, it's no longer an amateur sport. It is what it is at this point. But what are your thoughts about what he said and with respect to the street agents reference?
Well, before I get started, I do want to say that Texas Southern had a winning season this year. So
that is true.
So Chris Dishman, he was popping, he was talking his talk a little bit. But if
do we need to apologize?
I was about to say, so Kendrick Marshall, no, we are still not apologizing to the Texas Southern Board of Regents. We are not. They got lucky, very, very lucky. But yes, to Coach Dishman's point, I don't know if it matters the level of player. It's just the fact that the dirty game just doesn't have to clean itself up anymore. Because we can go back to the days of SMU. There's an entire ESPN 30 for 30 about how SMU was, paying players, pony excess. I told the story on my own podcast, and me more about how the late great Moses Malone, when he was, the highest rated basketball recruit in the country, that college coaches was sending his mom TVs and cars. In 1974, a TV wasn't exactly an inexpensive thing. So the NCAA, the amateur part of it has always been a misnomer. It's always been a facade. It's always been a sham. Now that, shout out to Ed O'Bannon for taking this all the way to the Supreme Court and getting the, the ruling in his favor. The NCAA has finally had to come, had to say, okay, you got us. You got us. We are a money-making organization. We have lied for 50 or 60 years, but yes, we make money from this. Now we can let the kids make money from it. Ain't it great? No, it's not.
Let me just, before you could continue, let me just reference some of the quotes that he made during that call. Mm-hmm. He says, I call them street agents. They're not real agents. We already have these fake agents out here producing poaching our kids. It's a shame that we are allowed that, not just as a university, but as the NCAA. These people are poaching our kids already. Other quotes. You can't have an 18 or 19-year-old kid talking about he has an agent. You haven't even lived life to have an agent. What else? That's the frustration. That's the frustrating thing about coaching these days. Everybody wants to be an agent, but nobody wants to work or go get a degree to be one. We have to educate our young men. Don't listen to these people trying to be street agents. Talk with your family, your high school coach, someone who can give you real advice, not what these poachers are selling. Again, very salient points. And you can't argue with a lot of what he said, because again, a lot of these 18, 19-year-old kids are getting bad advice. And to be honest with you, Chris, sometimes that bad advice is coming from their parents.
Oh yeah.
So I guess if you are that 18 or 19-year-old kid who may be getting that bad advice from a parent, who else can that person turn to?
Yeah. That's the challenge.
That's the challenge.
Here's a comment from
if you can't rely upon your parents, who can you turn to?
Yeah.
Go ahead. What were we saying?
Emmett Jones comes through with a very interesting quote. I agree with Trey Oliver's approach to NIL. He's not paying any players sight unseen, be it freshmen or portal players. They got to play first before he'll offer NIL. And I mean, when you're Trey Oliver, you can do that because, well, the success doesn't lie in his regard.
Right.
I mean, they've won MEAC championships. They won a Celebration Bowl under him. The North Carolina Central program is one of the top programs in HBCU football. Could argue one of the best run programs in all of FCS. So if Trey Oliver says I ain't paying the $5, he ain't got to pay the $5. But there are a lot of desperate coaches out there who are willing to do that, and that's where the street agents. I mean, I'll be honest with you. The first time I heard him say that, I was turned off by it because I thought it was. I thought it sounded kind of condescending.
Mm-hmm.
But when I read what Kendrick wrote in terms of his quotes, I was like, I get it.
Yeah,
because anybody can say they're this, they're that, but do you have the credentials? Do you have the certifications? Do you have the background? Do you have the experience? And a lot of these, parents, and a lot of these parents and these athletes turn to these, street agents. I just call them, I used to call them, circle, the inner circle, just to kind of, politically correct it up a little bit, PC it up a little bit. But yeah, these folks in the inner circle who swear they have the kid's best interest at heart, when the reality is they're just trying to, hurt somebody else. Because a lot of these street agents don't find use in HBCUs. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah.
And it's all, kids are going to transfer regardless of school, HBCU, PWI, wherever, but it's not lost on me that a lot of HBCUs have lost a ton of talent to the portal since the portal opened. When you think about the young man at Tennessee State who was the Buck Buchanan Award winner who went to Tulane, I think his name is Terrell Allen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when you think about how a lot of kids in different sports, from basketball, they go from HBCUs to PWI. So why aren't we getting like an HBCU to HBCU transfer if these street agents are on the up and up? They're not.
Right.
So I think a lot of, I'm not going to say all of these, inner circle people are anti-HBCU, but I'm just saying it's not a coincidence either.
Right. I do want to comment on what Chuck Hunt made the point. There are families, not all who are influenced by agents. And great point, Chuck Hunt. And I'm not necessarily talking about all. Okay. So let me be careful because he's right. The only reason why I said this is because you're talking to someone who lives in Texas. All right. And I think everybody knows, whether you live in Texas or not, high school football in Texas is a religion. Okay. And up until my son started playing high school football, I obviously had no reason to attend a high school game. I would go to one every once in a while because typically for me on Fridays, I'm getting ready to drive to a Grambling football game somewhere down the road, or go to an HBCU football game someplace else. So I really didn't have the time to attend or watch a high school game on Fridays, living here in the DFW area. Okay. But once my son once he got in high school and started playing football, and needless to say, when you go and you attend these games on Friday, you run into parents, you get to know who they are, you get to know who their kids are, and so forth. And before you know it, over years, and my son plays in, we got Texas, they got all these A's, played in the highest level in Texas. He went to a 5A high school. And believe me, I used to hear all of these, I'm not big on conspiracy theories. I'm not big on, you hear these stories about what some of these, parents will do, or some of these high school kids will do and so forth. Man, let me tell you something. I could not believe some of the things, or the stories that I heard about high school, about parents, and the things that they would do in the name of getting their son playing time or whatever. I mean, I couldn't believe what some of these parents were willing to do to get their kids, for scholarships and so forth. Mm-hmm. The stories that I can tell you, I could not believe. I'm like, am I really hearing this? Are you really telling me this? The things that a parent is willing to do for a high school, just to obtain a scholarship, literally parents who are like moving out of their areas, moving out to move someplace else because their son isn't getting the playing time that they think that he deserves, because they think he's a 4 or 5 star prospect, and he's typically a 2 or 3 star, and he's not getting the playing time that they will literally move sell their homes and will go move someplace else 5 miles down the road just so that person can. I have seen this with my own eyes, and I couldn't believe it. I have seen it. I have seen what some of these schools will do in order to get a person to play. One I'm very familiar with, and I'm not gonna go there. I'm just stay focused. No. I would just simply say this: the kid was dumb as rocks. I heard that. Anyway, the kid was dumb as rocks, and they go take the ACT. And my son, who was an honor roll student, said, "Dad, you won't believe this. This player who played at a P5, he scored higher in his ACT than I did." I'm like, "What?" I think he had somebody else take it for him. I don't know. Can't prove it. I'm just simply saying. So you're right, Chuck. I didn't mean to go off on a tangent, but Chuck, let's say, Chuck, you are right. Because there are some parents who, they will give their kid, look, son, this may seem to be all good for now, but we got long-term planning to be concerned about at this point. Mm-hmm. So you're absolutely right, Chuck. I stand corrected. Anyway, street agents, Chris, I'm sorry, didn't mean to cut you off, brother. Yeah, but
like I said, at first I thought, it was just one of those things where an older person just was, like when Prime says stuff like, Deshaun and Michael Vick were humbling themselves to coach at HBCUs. And it's like, just, okay, here's another stupid comment by, a person of a certain age. But then when I listened to what, he was saying and what Kendrick wrote, I was like, yes, he's got a fair point. He's got a very fair point. So my overall take on this is that our schools really need to start thinking about how we're going to combat this, whether it is building NIL collectives like a lot of these other schools are doing, or just saying we're not going to compete in this game. Because to be honest with you, our ship, as far as being like major institutions of athletic power, be quite honest, that ship has sailed. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We're never going to be Georgia. We're never going to be Alabama. We're never going to be Michigan. We're never going to be Ohio State. Hell, we can't even be Gonzaga in basketball. So I think we need to stop, dreaming about being like these nationally recognized programs that are on ESPN every week, that send kids to the pro league of their choice and all of that, and just stick to what we do best. Amen. That is educate our kids. Amen. That is at least put competitive athletic programs together. Amen. and make the experience palatable for people Amen. To support. Yep. I think that's as far as we can go, and I think that's as far as we should go. I made it very clear in the book, HBCU Sports 101, that HBCUs were not created for the intent of having powerhouse athletic programs. Nope. Chris, you made the perfect analogy with Gonzaga. And I will say this: Gonzaga was smart enough. I don't think they have football at Gonzaga. No, they don't. Costs too damn much. No. I'm just saying. You don't have to worry about football. So guess what? Catholic colleges like Gonzaga and Marquette and so forth, it's a much smaller investment to just simply play basketball. So I'm just simply saying, Yep. And then you got you got the Ivy Leagues, they just made the decision to, this will be like the first year they'll say, and I think Yale is going to be the Ivy League representative this year in the NCAA playoffs, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. That's a decision that they made for the first time. And I think it's safe to say, because before when they weren't doing it, it was my belief because it was about the money. It was a business decision. Well, guess what? I think those kids are getting NIL checks. So you know what? I think this is a business decision. Mm-hmm. And I say that because I used to always hear people say, schools in Ivy League aren't serious about athletics. I'm like, the hell they aren't. Do you not have to pay for a ticket to get into a football game? They are about the business. Okay, so anyway. So Yale and Harvard got in. Oh, they both got in. Yeah, that's from Zach McKinnell. Oh, he would know. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yale won the auto bid
and Harvard got it. Okay, fair enough. All right, yeah. So, all right. So let's pivot. I do want to talk about this. Eddie Robinson Jr. reflects on Alabama State East championship being a near miss. And I hate to say this, but while I was spending time with family giving thanks, Bama State, no disrespect, I forgot you played yesterday. And then when I realized, I said, dang it, Bama State is playing Tuskegee. And I looked at my phone, I think Tuskegee, it was like 7-0. I'm like, oh. And so I didn't really get to see the game, but I was monitoring the game on my phone. And from what it appeared to be, it was like the first quarter was like wide open. And it wasn't until the second half to where Bama State, okay, look, just stop with this BS and let's just go ahead and treat the damn ball and parlay people like they are. Enough of this damn ball and parlay. Anyway, and Bama State won that game handily. And I forgot what the score was, but I think they finished what, 10-2?
Yeah, score was 58-21.
58-21, finished the season 10-2. And, Eddie Robinson Jr. talked about the fact about, it's disappointing that one loss to Jackson State on the 1 yard line, 2 yard line, was the difference maker. Talk about a game of inches. Was the difference maker between them not going to the SWAC championship game as opposed to them having an opportunity to go. And I don't know if it would have really made a difference this year, but I think that game once again brought up the conversation about whether or not it was necessary for the SWAC to have East and West divisions. When you consider the fact that I think pretty much all of the P4 and nobody's in the FCS has a championship game, but nobody else has divisions, if I'm not mistaken, right? And it's just basically the best two teams at the end of the year, they play in championship game. And the reason why I said it may not have mattered this year is because obviously Prairie View had a pretty stellar year. The only game that they lost in the conference was at Bama State.
It was.
Right. And they didn't have a chance to play Jackson, I don't think, this year.
Nope.
And so, but it's a fair discussion worth having now. Should the SWAC continue with the East-West division? Or should there just simply be the top two teams go to the SWAC championship games and so forth? Chris Stevens, your thoughts?
Well, this year, Prairie View ain't going for that. I can tell you Tremaine Jackson would not be happy with that arrangement, especially considering how well that Prairie View has played this year. But I will say this. Bama State at 10-2. Ain't no worse than Harvard. Ain't no worse than Yale. Ain't no worse than whoever the Coastal Athletic Association sent this year. But Bama State did not have the opportunity to be considered for an at-large because they're playing the Turkey Day.
Exactly right.
And the Turkey Day is the same weekend as the opening round of the FCS playoffs.
Exactly right.
So here's my thing.
Yep.
The FCS playoffs, they don't play a championship game.
Yep.
Until the first Saturday in January.
Yep.
So why don't you just move the damn playoffs up an entire week? So the SWAC, because there have been some instances where there have been like 9-win FAMU teams, 9 and 10 win Jackson State squads or whatever, who may not have won the Easter, even maybe Grambling or Prairie View or Southern out the West that have won 8 or 9 and have a resume worthy of the playoffs. Move the game up, move the playoffs back a week.
Exactly.
It's really that simple, because if you're telling me that Alabama State couldn't go in the FCS playoffs and do damage, you're wrong. They could. They absolutely could.
Or at least give them the opportunity to try. You know what?
Yeah.
This is one of those Zach McKinnell questions. We'd love to know. Zach, what are your thoughts on this if you're still watching?
Yeah.
Because the NCAA, for all that it's worth these days, mentioned all the time, and if I'm not mistaken, unless they've changed it in their mission statements about how diverse they want to be and how open they want to make they want to be and how open to all diversity and so forth. And when you put in consideration the traditions that many of these institutions have, and make no mistake about it, the Turkey Day Classic is an HBCU tradition. And it means quite a bit to Bama State, and I guess to a larger to some degree Tuskegee or anybody else that Bama State has played during this time, because there've been other opponents in the past. Mm-hmm. But it's okay to value tradition. It's okay to value that, especially if that tradition has been in place long before the NCAA playoffs ever became a thing. And is it really asking a lot, especially when you look at college football as it is right now, that in many instances will go damn near into February before it ends? Is it really asking too much for the NCAA tournament or the NCAA to move the college football playoffs back 1 week so you can give everybody, especially at the FCS level, including the SWAC and even MEAC, an opportunity to participate if the winners of the conference or those that are going to be representing the conference, especially for the SWAC, if for whatever reason the SWAC, the two teams that are playing in the SWAC championship game are in it, but you've got that third team, i.e. Alabama State, that has a body of work that indicates that they deserve an opportunity to compete too. Is that really asking a lot? Especially when you take all that damn time off before the damn finals? And I get it. It's all driven by TV, I'm sure. ESPN told you to do it. Isn't when that game is played? Is it on ESPN? The finals championship game, I think?
ABC, actually.
ABC. Shit, Disney. Oh, damn it. I shouldn't have said that. But anyway, Disney.
Yes.
Disney made you do it. Is it really asking too much to move the college the playoffs back so that you can give everybody an opportunity to participate if they are deserving? Because we get it. You got those champions with the automatic bid. But in this particular case, I think it's safe to say that the SWAC had 3 teams that were worthy of postseason play: Jackson State, Prairie View, and Alabama State.
And Zach says, never going to happen. They want a championship. They want the championship game to be on a week without college football playoff games. Plus, they don't want Christmas week games. So there's your answer.
Really?
I believe it.
Okay. If that's what it's really about. But, it is about TV. It wasn't always about TV, though. And just so you know, I've made this argument for a while. It wouldn't kill you to move it back. But but the NCAA is supposed to be about integrity and diversity. I'm just saying, man, show it. Show it. Okay.
Speaking of showing stuff, ladies and gentlemen, we would like, if you could, to show us some love with a super chat.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Whether it's $1, $2, $5, or if you born like Mackenzie Scott, 50 million, we'll take that. So if you guys want to drop a super chat before the show is out, we would greatly appreciate it. And you can donate to us. Go to the website, hbcusports.com/donate, or you can donate through the Zelle app. Go to the Zelle app, type in donate at hbcusports.com, or you can go Cash App route. Just type in $ HBCU Sports, drop however much money you can spare, because, it's Christmas time, and, we want to be able to buy gifts for our loved ones, or maybe I just want to buy something for myself. I don't know. I don't care. But, if you guys want to, just,
man, make a super chat.
Yeah. Drop a super chat or donate, you guys can help us out with that.
Yeah. Okay. So Zach adds, plus why move the whole bracket because 4 teams don't end the season when it's supposed to be done? On the off chance someone deserves a bid, that's going to be the argument. Well, let me just, Zach, I'm not arguing with you here, and I understand your point, but let me just say this. You're saying, plus why move the whole bracket? Then let me ask you this. Why even allow the teams to have a regular season game at this point? Why allow it? You're saying why move the whole bracket because 4 teams don't end? Then why even allow these teams to play a regular season game at this late in the season? If it's that big of a deal, then maybe you may need to make it mandatory that the teams end at the Thanksgiving weekend. Maybe you need to make that mandatory. I'm just simply saying, man, I get your point. I am not, look, Zach is the man. He knows this stuff. I get it. Especially when you put in consideration everybody. I'm just simply saying, why if you can't make that exception, then maybe you should say Grambling and Southern and and Alabama State, you know what? You cannot play games. You must end your regular season before Thanksgiving weekend. But you allow it. You know, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But
shouts out to No Joe for coming through with the
thank you, No Joe. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Let's see if we can get 2 or 3 more before we get off the air today. If
you guys, please.
Yeah, if you guys, like I said, it can be $1, $2, $50 million. And I have a hot take about Mackenzie Scott that I want to share really quickly.
Okay. But before you do that, let me since he did ask this question. How about if Bama State not play in the Turkey Day Classic if they had a bid? Well, I'm trying to figure out. I would just simply say this. The Turkey Day Classic has been around before the NCAA tournament. Mm-hmm. College football or college athletics is a business. And whether you respect it or not, I'm pretty sure there's a business element to Bama State. And look, man, it's traditional. It may not seem like that big of a deal to us, but I'm pretty certain to the folks at Bama State and even to some degree to Tuskegee, and I stated this in the book too, as it relates to the Bayou Classic. Everybody else values Thanksgiving. I promise you, them Bama State folks and them Tuskegee folks, they don't plan around Thanksgiving. They plan Thanksgiving around the Turkey Day Classic. Yep. Just like the Bayou Classic. I didn't go this year, but believe me when I tell you, and I know I'm not the only one, we didn't plan the Bayou Classic around Thanksgiving. We planned Thanksgiving around the Bayou Classic. And so there's a financial element to that, man. For all of the years that we've talked about how the playoffs doesn't make financial sense. But yet, if you give them the invite, at the very least, give the school the opportunity to accept the invite, knowing that there is a financial liability to it. You give them that right. But I'm just simply saying, man, the NCAA doesn't make any money off of this other than the TV revenue, which is why Disney is telling them what to do. But if this is really all about fairness, I'm pretty certain that everybody, there's a way this could be worked out to where Disney can get what it wants, the NCAA can get what it wants, and the HBCUs who play these games on Thanksgiving weekend can get what they want to. You can't tell me that that's impossible, especially when you put in consideration how for years the college football playoff managed to come up with the operation that they've got right now. And we've seen how that's evolved over the years. Yep. And then, I think I think they're talking about modifying it again at some point. So I'm just saying it's about money, but I'm pretty certain if someone came up with a proposal that made financial sense, they can get this done. So great question, No Joe.
Soldier Rag says this brings this point up. If private equity gets involved with the FCS playoffs,
then all things will change. Amen.
Absolutely. Yeah, they will.
Amen. So if there is a will, there is a way. All right. Final thoughts.
I think that pretty much covers it. You know,
okay.
We've crossed every I. We've dotted every I and crossed every T on that one.
Okay. All right. Chris, do we need to start with the game or do we need to start with the man?
Which one? Because we got a couple of men we need to discuss.
That's right. You know what? Let's talk about the Holiday Classic. Because we'll get into the Bayou Classic, but we got to talk about this. So we had the Turkey Day Classic yesterday, and then on tomorrow we've got the Bayou Classic and the Holiday Classic featuring FAMU and Mississippi Valley. And then there are some interesting backstories. So for those of you who don't know, obviously this game was supposed to be played earlier in the year, but because of the scheduling snafu that took place in which Mississippi Valley was I think, was supposed to play in Atlanta, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
and something happened. It didn't go through. And so they had to cancel that date and that game because I guess they got too late to it. And so they said, you know what, we'll just throw it at the end of the schedule. And so now this is a makeup game for the game that was supposed to be played early in the year. And FAMU is going to be going to Itabena to face the team that beat them last year in the Holiday Football Classic on Thanksgiving weekend between Halloween and Christmas. But the interesting backstory is, of course, the future of James Colzie, who lost, by the way, on the last play of the game. Well, it wasn't the last play of the game, but who lost in dramatic fashion to Bethune-Cookman. We should have talked about that, by the way, but still. And so we had said prior to, and I think it was Jared Hoffman, that Colzie couldn't survive no matter what if they lost to Cookman. They lost to Cookman. Mm-hmm. And when you put in consideration what happened last year, is it any way possible that FAMU loses to Valley again on tomorrow? Or does it even matter? So Chris Stevens, I asked the question. I'll even ask you guys out in chat. Is Colzie cooked?
Well, let's soldier rag with some house cleaning. He said something. The promoters didn't do their job. So that Georgia football classic crew was super shady.
Yeah. Well, super shady. So let me throw you guys in on something. I'm not going to give this. All I will simply say is that a very well-known, well-respected figure who lives in Atlanta told me, I'm telling you now, that game ain't happening. They told me from the jump that game is not happening. If the terms that I'm hearing are what they're trying to execute, it's not going to happen. And I'll be damned. That game did not happen. It did not happen. So I'm sorry, Chris, go ahead.
But yeah, you were saying that, asking if James Colzie is cooked. The answer is yes. Like I would be absolutely stunned if he keeps his job, even if they beat Valley. If they lose the Valley, he's gone. They may not let him get back on the plane. I mean, well, can you fly into Itabena? However they get.
I'm sure you're going to Jackson. You got to fly into Jackson somewhere, right? Take a bus, and are you flying to Memphis?
Yeah,
it's a great question. Anyway,
yeah. Well, if they were flying or taking a bus, whatever way they get there, they may not let him come back that way. Ooh. if they lose the Valley.
A la Lane Kiffin.
Yeah, but I'll say this. It's very interesting that he wants greater football investment when the investment was him being hired against the advice of an athletic director who proved that she knew what she was talking about.
You went there. I wasn't going to go there, but you went there.
Hashtag Team Tiffany. Faux life. But yeah, those folks threw a hissy fit when Tiffany Dawn Sykes wanted to hire Sean Gibbs. And, they pivoted and she pivoted and said, okay, we'll give James Colzie a shot. And not to say that Sean Gibbs is going great guns at North Carolina A&T, but he's got to clean out the mess from Vincent Brown. Yep. I think Sean Gibbs would have been better for Florida A&M because they wouldn't have had that much to work on.
No, he would have been given the keys to the Lamborghini.
Mm-hmm. And now the Lamborghini looks like a 1983 Chevy Citation. And it's so in him for, I mean, he's got some, I gotta admit, he's got some brass ones. He's got some brass ones to say that people need to invest more in Florida A&M football.
Yeah.
When this team just won the Celebration Bowl 2 years ago.
He was part of that investment.
Mm-hmm. So you got to put the results out there. I mean, this is a results-oriented business, like it or not. You either win or you do. You either win or you don't. And if you don't, they're going to get you out of here and find somebody who can. So I just found that very interesting that he was willing to, have the, what do our Latino friends say? The cojones to say, all right, I need more investment from y'all when this team is going to finish with a 500 or worse record in the 2 years you've been in charge. And again, we're in a new era now. Ain't no 3 or 4 years for this. With the portal and NIL, you got 2 good years. And if you can't get nothing done in those 2 good years, they will find somebody else who can.
So he's out.
That's my prediction.
I don't know if there's any more to add to that. I really don't. I just thought that it was interesting because given where that program is right now compared to where it was when he took over, and for the record, let me be clear. I get it that things where we are right now with college football, just college athletics in general, it's not the same as it was, say, 5 years ago. I get that. It's not the same. And to some degree, you can't really even say, well, look at the program, look at the shape of the program and where it was when you first took over. Like in the case of FAMU, things were going really well when Big Willie left. And you replace Big Willie. But given how these teams can literally change overnight, 70 and 80% roster changes, when players just up and just leave, I get it. Sometimes you literally, it's like, okay, season's over with and we go to the board and we got to clean off the board and we got to start all over from scratch. I get it. It's almost like every single team or every single program has to start all over from scratch now, given how these players just come and go. I get that. But still, the overall infrastructure, man, was still there. It was still FAMU. And FAMU was bragging differently. Mm-hmm. They don't brag as much as they used to now since you took over. They just don't. I'm just simply saying. I like James Cozy. I don't have anything. I don't know him personally. Don't have anything against him. I'm just simply saying the way they were before you got there, or by the time you compare to where they are now, it ain't the same. And at some point, you gotta. Championship teams typically, man, are there are probably some exceptions there, but a lot of times, the administrative help is kind of like, I get nutrition is important. All I was just simply saying is, man, Big Willie was rolling when he was there. And while no school is perfect, I understand that, Coach Simmons probably, there are a number of things that he wished could have been improved with FAMU, but look, he got things done, plain and simple. And like you said, Chris, it's a results-oriented type situation, and the results just simply haven't been there. But don't lose that damn game tomorrow. Boy. Ooh. Anyway, don't lose that game tomorrow. Speaking of coaches, I think we need to revisit this subject again. Because while it was rumored last week, reports have surfaced, according to one Baton Rouge reporter, that Marshall Faulk will be named the head coach of Southern University football, I believe Monday. And I've made my position clear on what I think about this hire. And I will reiterate, since Kendrick put that clip out there and everybody just started blowing me up, I think Southern University is better than this. I think, granted, Marshall Faulk, and in the case of Southern, before they brought Terrence Graves on as head coach, if I'm not mistaken, Marshall Faulk's name had surfaced as a possible candidate for that position. And as was the case then, and I'll say it again now, I don't understand what it is about Marshall Faulk that makes him so appealing to you folks at Southern. Considering that prior to, he had never coached. And then all of a sudden, he gets a running backs position, coaching position with Colorado under Deion Sanders. And now all of a sudden, he's the head coach of Southern at another HBCU. What is it about us and these? Come on. How come we just can't get boring Joe Schmo, who's just been kicking ass at every program he's been, and he's shown promise at every position that he's played, and he ain't famous. All a man does is just eat, sleep, and drink football and recruits. That's all he does. And he's just saying, like, yeah, I can take this. I can do more with less than anybody in the country. And he just comes in and he just gets results. Why can't you ADs do that? Why? And I'm going to tell you now, I think that, Chris, we've seen this. It's the damn board of regents or the supervisors or these trustees, because they're writing the checks. They feel enamored to make these decisions for the ADs. This is not the dude. Oh, you know what? I don't say he's not the dude, but what is it about him, man, that makes him so appealing to you to just, why? Especially when you look at the results of those individuals, and I am no means am I trying to call Trey Oliver boring, but the man is no celebrity per se. I mean, now he's a god at North Carolina Central, don't get me wrong, but all a man does is just get results. He's a proof. And look, you look at the Celebration Bowl winners over the years. Celebrity coaches ain't winning those damn games. They've tried. And every time they get there, they lose. No disrespect to the celebrity coach at Delaware State. Deserves to be coach of the year, by the way. Got to the MEAC championship game and couldn't get it done. Because I think experience counts for something, especially in those championship situations. I'm not saying the man can't coach. He may very well turn the fortunes, the misfortunes currently that Southern is suffering right now. He may very well turn it around. My question is what makes him so appealing now? What has he done up to this point that gives you the impression that he's the man that can turn it around? Especially when there are other candidates out there, I'm pretty certain, have the expertise, or should I say the experience, and the awards, if you will, or the skins. They got skin in the game. They've got results backing them up. Chris?
First of all, I want to address this comment really, really quickly.
Colorado fans are happy he's gone. Take that however you want. Okay. I take it however I want. If anything, Colorado fans are probably validating what I'm telling you.
Yeah.
If they wanted him gone, then what does that tell you?
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it's a fond farewell. But my overall thoughts on this are, and this is coming from a dude who his alma mater hired a celebrity coach, and Delaware turned into best season Delaware State has had in 18 years. So I'm not going to sit here and say that celebrity coaches can't work, because Deshaun Jackson, has turned Delaware State into something after years of just being dormant. But I think the problem is, I think with guys like Dion, with guys like Marshall Faulk, even going back to when Tyrone Wheatley tried to coach Morgan State, a lot of these guys, and I guess I can include Deshaun in that for the ghetto comment, unfortunately, that a lot of these guys that are coming from the NFL space, they don't have the pulse of what it means to be a member of the HBCU community. And Marshall Faulk, from what I understand, ain't got that pulse either. So you're saying that a guy who has never been around this sort of culture, this sort of, atmosphere, this community, is going to come in and openly accept what the culture and the community bring. Because we know that HBCU alums for football teams and athletic programs, they are very opinionated. They will say, what is on their mind about how bad the team is playing, what the coach could or couldn't be doing, or should and shouldn't be doing. And I just don't think that his temperament and his persona will lead me to believe that he's the guy for the job. Like, can you imagine if Southern loses by like 3 scores to Tremaine Jackson Prairie View? That's if Tremaine Jackson is still there next year, by the way. Sorry, Prairie View. Just saying. He's a hot commodity. But if he's there next year, and Prairie View jumps out on them and wins like 35-14, Southern folks ain't gonna be too happy. How does Marshall Faulk respond to that? If they blow another game like they blew one to FAMU, and this was a down FAMU team. I mean, this was a FAMU team we just talking about who might move on from their coach. If they blow another game, if they blow a game like they blew the game to FAMU, and the fan base is, you know, angry about that, how does Marshall Faulk respond to that? If Jackson State, if J-State by 40, if J-State beats you by 40, how does Marshall Faulk react? Those are the keys. Those are the keys. And if he does not, if he does not treat this with the level of seriousness, the level of respect, and the level of reverence that Southern deserves, it's going to be another failure. Simple as that. Because you can't just jump in there and say, because there was a viral clip when he was named the running backs coach at Colorado. He's like, "Oh, you guys can Google me. My name is Marshall Faulk." You ain't gonna walk into a room full of black kids in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and say, "Google me." That's not going to work. That's not going to work. So you need to go in there really like dead serious. Like, you can't just go in there and say, "Hey, I'm Marshall Faulk. You know, I've done this, I've done that." You got to say, "Hey, I'm Marshall Faulk. I know you guys have had a bad run of luck, but if we work together, we can turn this ship around and we can get back to the Southern that we all know and love." But I don't think Marshall Faulk is going to do that. And therefore, this really looks like, yeesh.
So for clarification, Chris, because I didn't hear this, are you saying that Marshall Faulk said in front of a podium that if you don't know who I am, Google me?
Yeah, he said this to the football players when he walked in. It was like one of those things. It's like one of those content videos that Colorado shoots. I promise you, it's out there somewhere. The Marshall. He wasn't trying to be arrogant or anything, but it just was like, you know, it's like that might work on those kids at Colorado, but it's not going to work on the kids at Southern. Like, kids want to know that you're there to help them win and that you can help them win. And I think that's where, you know, the disconnect was with Graves, because because, you know, we had, you know, intel that's saying that they looked at that dude like he was a substitute teacher. And it's like, no, you can't be the substitute teacher. You have to be the professor. You have to be the dean. You have to be the president. You have to be, as the great Morgan Freeman said, as Joe Clark, the HNIC. You have got to be the HNIC. I mean, yeah, you got to be the head football coach, but you got to be the HNIC too. You got to go in there letting people know that this is the way it's going to be done. This is the way we were going to run this program. There will be no excuses. There will be no shortcuts. There will be no shenanigans. We're going to do this way. And if you don't want to do it, get out. That's how it has to be. And there are a lot of, and you know, with that respect to Faulk, I mean, he might be able to do it, but he doesn't have the background to do it as a coach. If you want to talk about, you know, running back stuff, sure, but I mean, can he run a football program? I guess we'll find out.
I guess too, and I know you said he wasn't saying Google me with the intent on trying to be on trying to brag on himself, but I guess there's a part of me that says that players did Google you at the time that they hired you, and you said Google me. If they did Google you, they find out you never coached before.
Mm-hmm.
If they Google you right now, they realize you've only had 1 year coaching experience. You know, and I guess this thing with being a celebrity, we've seen this before, not just in football, but in various sports, that I guess people figure that if you were stellar in your career as a player, that some way, somehow that's going to translate into being a coach. I think that's where this comes into play. Not that I follow Colorado football an awful lot, but all I would just simply say is that look at what Colorado did last year compared to this year. The coaching staff is different.
Mm-hmm.
And when you put in consideration who Colorado had on this coaching staff last year, that weren't they like 9-3, 8-3, 9-4, whatever the case may be.
Yeah,
Now Colorado just play. I'm just be out, folks. I think I've read some people. Folks are getting frustrated at Deion. I'm like, given where they are right now, didn't have the season they had last year. Colorado, stop. Just remember where you were before Deion Sanders got there. Nobody was talking about you. Nobody knew anything about Colorado. They barely knew what conference you were in. People still wonder what conference Colorado was in right now.
Shout out to Lawrence for the super chat. And to answer your question, yes.
Southern, the worst team in FCS Louisiana if they lose the Classic. I'm trying to figure out if they lose the Classic, ain't the worst team now. Matter of fact, you know what? Let's get off Faulk. He ain't worth that time. You know what? Speaking of, let's go ahead and start the Bayou Classic. Now, let me tell you something. Thank you, Lawrence, for that segue. I don't want to talk about Marshall Faulk no more. This is about the Bayou Classic. And I'm going to just go ahead. I'm not going to, Chris Stevens, I'm going to tell you now, I want you to be my sideline coach. Okay?
All right.
I'm supposed to be an objective journalist here. Damn that.
Oh, my God.
As a matter of fact, Chris, I think we might just need to go ahead and make this our off topic.
Uh-oh.
I am not trying to be objective. I'm not. I appreciate the Bayou Classic. I appreciate Southern University. I love Grambling State University, the greatest institution in the history of the universe. It is the home that Eddie Robinson built. But given where we are right now, facing a team that is 1-10, I have a note for Mickey Joseph. Coach Joseph, we are playing Southern University in the Bayou Classic, the last game of the year. A team that is 1-10. Coach, I want you to beat this team like a damn 1-10 deserves to be beaten. I want you to beat that Mississippi smelling river stench. I want a 50 piece. I've always said, Southern, you are better than this. I want you. You are not better than this. You are 1-10. Oh, man. I want you to lose like a 1-10 team should. Southern University, you are the new Mississippi Valley right now as it stands.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
As a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, Mississippi Valley was better than you when they outplayed you. Coach Joseph, when you play the Bayou Classic on Saturday, treat Southern like they are Mississippi Valley. I want you to beat them so bad. I want Southern to think about whether or not they need to go to D2.
Oh, my God.
Beat them. If the score is 50-0 and it's the fourth quarter and 3 seconds left and you're on the 1 yard line, I want you to score a touchdown. And then after that, I want you to go for 2. That's how bad I want you to beat Southern this year.
Oh my gosh.
As a matter of fact, the memes have been just, you know what? Let me see if I can find that graphic. I thought this was absolutely hilarious. Chris Stevens, feel free to, you know what? Put some perspective. You are the objective journalist in this conversation right now.
I am.
I want you to provide us with professional analysis on what you can expect from the Bayou Classic, because when I come back, I'm going to show my ass. So right back.
All right. So while Kenn is getting ready to go all in on this, what I've observed of Grambling and Southern this year is that Southern has just totally, given up on this year. And I don't know if it mattered if Terrence Graves was coaching. It didn't matter if Fred McNair was coaching. They could have brought Pete Richardson back for one game. This Southern team just didn't have it this year. And Granted, Grambling didn't have such a hot start either. Because remember, they were already, I mean, they've had a nice win streak, up until, the fight. And then they got back on track after the fight. But I think the important thing about this Bayou Classic is that Southern has to find a way to make this competitive, because I imagine that Marshall Faulk will be in the building. He'll be in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome this Saturday, because if he's going to be named head coach on Monday, he's probably going to be hanging out in New Orleans. Well, he should be. He should be for the course of the weekend. So if Marshall Faulk is in the building, these players have to show out. I mean, they ain't going to show out for Fred McNair, but they'll probably end up showing out because it is the Bayou Classic. And I think what helps Grambling in this respect is that they've already, weathered the storm of injured quarterbacks and last second victories and all of that. Southern has just looked terrible all year. But as plenty of people in the chat have said, Bayou, rivalry games, tend to awaken the beast within. So maybe Southern makes this competitive, or maybe it is Eddie Robinson's crew by Phil Fawlty. I don't know. But what I can tell you now is Southern has to find a way to make this, palatable. If not, then it is going to be a long winter, spring, and summer until they can get back on the football field.
You know what?
Oh, God.
Some things are just undeniable.
Oh, boy.
Grambling is just greater than Southern.
Oh, my God.
This is how we roll. This is what I can't make this stuff up. This is coming off the internet. Well, I did make this. I'm just saying. But I'm just saying. This is where let me tell you how this is where Southern is right now. Chris, you ready for this?
Okay.
This is where you are, Southern University. This is where we are. I want look, Grambling. I'm dead serious. You have to beat. You just got to beat them 1-10, man. We need to just take Southern out of their misery. Just this is where we are right now. The great Southern University. 1-10. They got an interstate named after you now. This is where we are. And I just want to say, shout out to Mickey Joseph. No, look, I had, someone early in the chat asked if Mickey Joseph was. I'm telling you, Mickey Joseph has earned his money, and I'm pretty certain there should be an extension. I'm at some point something's going to be announced. The man has earned his money this year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you literally get down to your fourth string quarterback. Let's keep it simple. Let me go ahead and put it. Okay, I'm gonna. What are your thoughts on Mickey Joseph and the coaching job that he's done, Chris Stevens?
Listen, I thought that man was cooked after they lost to Prairie View, but he rallied the troops, and they have just performed beyond expectations for me. And it really feels like that he's earned another year at least, because as Kenn has alluded to, Mickey Joseph originally signed a 2-year contract, and this is year number 2. And he did something that Hugh Jackson couldn't do. And that's put together a winning season. So if this Grambling team ends 8-4 and finishes second in the SWAC West, I mean, it's not first place, but it's a lot higher than we had them, going in the beginning of the year, then absolutely Mickey Joseph has earned another chance. I mean, this is a dude who has never backed off of anything he said a day in his life. Like, I never forget last year when I forget when they lost. I forget
right? I knew it was coming.
I forget whatever game they lost. And that man said, I thought there was some BS calls. And he topped it off by saying, I got the money. I can pay the fine. And sure enough, he got fined and paid the fine. And so, and this is the same Mickey Joseph who said, if you're coming to get my players, I should get a finder's fee. Mickey Joseph he don't know nothing. As Richard Pryor once said about Jim Brown, he don't know nothing about the back down. Mickey Joseph don't know nothing about the back down. So if he has, if he got this team that fired up to still want to play for something after being eliminated from the SWAC West race, I firmly believe that. I don't think it's going to be 50 points, but I don't think Southern really is going to be in this one on Saturday.
Well, okay, fair enough. Because it is the Bayou Classic, and I agree that you throw these records out, and for all we know, Southern may come out guns a-blazing first quarter. I will give you, you're inspired, and it's the last, and you've got nothing to lose, and that's fine. All I'm saying is that at some point, you got to treat them with you got to tell them, and you got to confirm, look, you're 1-10. Grambling folks need to remind Mickey Joseph, you need to remind him that. Oh, by the way, Mickey Joseph gets a bonus when he wins the Bayou Classic, right? That's kind of like standard in coaching contracts.
Oh yeah, he about to coach his behind off, Chat.
Mickey Joseph gets a bonus for winning the Bayou Classic. It's in his contract. Now, Coach Joseph, all you got to do is just win the Bayou Classic. But I tell you what, if you do beat him by 40, I'll give you $20. Chris Stevens, I think we've said enough.
Yes, we have.
Let's go ahead and end on that note and do that thing that you do, bro.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for tuning into this crazy edition of HBCU Live Sports Live. We greatly appreciate y'all as always. Be sure to follow us on all manners of social media. We are on the Facebook. We're on Facebook. We're on the Musty app. That's Twitter, TikTok, Threads, Instagram, Facebook, Blue Sky. Search for us there at HBCU Sports. Be sure to subscribe to this channel. We are closing in on 5,000 subs. If we find out which one of y'all is a 5,000 subscriber,
and I have a way of finding that out too, by the way.
Kenn Rashad might give you a book. I might give you a copy of my new Christmas romance novel that I'm working on. You never know. But subscribe to this channel and become a level 1 or level 2 member for a neat and tidy sum of $4.99 a month. You can get all the Black college sports news that's fit to print and broadcast as we like to give it to you. I already told you guys how to donate, but we can always do that again. We have Cash App. Just type in cash, go to Cash App, type in $ HBCU Sports.
Oh, by the way, the link is in the description too, by the way. It's like right now. The options are literally in the description, but finish, Chris.
Yes, you can go to Zelle as well. Go to Zelle, type in donate at hbcusports.com and donate there, or you can go directly to the website, hbcusports.com/donate, and buy something from the store. We got t-shirts, we got tumblers, we got coffee cups, we got all of that good stuff. All the things that a good sports outlet that caters to the HBCU community should have. So once again, we thank you guys for tuning in. Hope you ate good this Thanksgiving. Hope you don't spend too much money this Black Friday weekend. And we'll talk to you next time.
We gone.